Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for being here. Today I get to bring you a Kickstarter preview of Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. I am, needless to say, insanely excited about this title. Cthulhu Death May Die has been one of my favorite dungeon crawling style games in a long while, with immersive story, crazy and gruesome and grotesque miniatures, and one of the funnest leveling systems I have found in a game. In this game, you're going to be venturing into the occult, the mysteries of the Cthulhu world, trying to stop whatever ritual is happening here on the board, trying to summon whatever great one is currently threatening the rest of the world before he decides to summon himself, and trying to murder, slaughter, take down, annihilate, eviscerate, go ahead and wipe off the face of the existence, all of the demonic presences available. And it's full of weird, twisted, tentacle-like nightmare horror. You're going to be playing various different average Joe characters, from people who are factory workers, to snipers, to military men, to little kids that have been tortured and seen things they probably shouldn't have seen. The coolest thing about how Cthulhu Death May Die works is that it works off of a chapter module. So you're going to be opening up the box, summoning the old ones, going ahead and putting down whatever different types of modules you need from game to game, and presenting those onto the board state. And each one of those chapters are going to have some escalating story elements, and so you feel like you have the framework for a story that you then get to see play out on the table in front of you. One of the coolest things about Cthulhu Death May Die is the leveling system. This is a game where every stage starts to escalate. The creatures get more and more powerful as the game continues, and you, the characters, get more and more powerful as the game continues. It's what makes it shine. It's what makes it feel so good and like a crescendo when you win or lose, because as you get more and more mad, as your insanity and your mental aperture starts to break and shatter, you'll get more and more powerful as well, until you hit a threshold where there is a chance you just crumble and die. But you have all of these superpowers and super abilities, and you start unlocking more and more of them as the game continues to escalate, and so you have this thing where the creatures are spawning more. The old one is about to be summoned, this big boss that you have to face off against, and you're this character who is, yes, going insane, who is breaking at every conceivable facet of their mental aptitude, and yet, because of that, you're stronger, faster, able to roll more dice, able to hit harder, able to manipulate the dice system, able to grab your cards and utilize the different items and resources that you found, and use all of that to try to take down this creature. And you'll probably still lose. This can be a punishing game, and it can lead to some crescendo moments and some I'm gasping for the last breath that I have moments. But it is glorious, and it is an incredible storytelling dungeon crawl experience. And all that within the veneer of me not even liking Cthulhu as a genre, as a system. Like, Arkham Horror is okay for me. If a game presents a Cthulhu aptitude, I'm not always convinced that it's going to be right for me. Oftentimes it actually leads me away from the project. But something about this system and the way that it all chains together just shines. Now, let's talk about the stuff you really want to know. Let's talk about Season 3 and all the new stuff that's happening in it, or Chapter 3, or Fear of the Unknown, whatever this is, right? So those of you that have Cthulhu Death May Die, the base game, or Chapter 2, which are oftentimes available in retail, I know they've been harder and harder to get. I certainly hope that CMON has plans to re-release some of that content, or make some of that content more available to you. If they don't, I think this is just one of those games that's going to be able to stand on its own with a base box. So if Fear of the Unknown is in and of itself exists in its own atmosphere, or its own universe, I think it's still worth paying attention to and still worth grabbing. The new stuff they're going to be adding is going to be a few of the unknown modules, is going to be a whole slew of brand new chapters, a whole collection of brand new characters with their own unique abilities, various different sanitarium cards, the insanity cards that'll start escalating you as well. And all of that's going to be covered with 2 brand new bosses and a whole lot of brand new minions, including new cultist sculpts, which are a little bit more evocative and add a little bit more diversity to the game that you already have in front of you on the table. But by far, outside of the stories and outside of the modules, the stuff that Fear of the Unknown is pushing is going to be the unknown modules here. We have a few different modules. We have the unknown relics, which are front and back. They start as basic cards, which are going to then level up once you cross 3 madness, or level 3 madness on your track. This is going to trigger them to become, well, powerful, rectifying items that help you conquer or take down or manipulate. Like, for instance, the Charm of Doubloon here, you have 1 free reroll per roll. Insane. Fiery Talisman. Once per roll before rolling dice, you may catch 1 fire. If you do, gain a green die. If you take wounds from the fire, you may instead deal that many wounds to 1 enemy in your space. So you just start escalating. Then we have Excalibur. You gain 2 green die when attacking a target in your space. So these start off as basic weapons, basic items, basic elements that give you some powerful abilities, but they're just okay. And as you hit mid-game, just like I've already said from the very beginning, the game escalates again, giving you more and more powerful relics and letting you unlock that unknown ability. Now, if you're going to have something that's going to help power up the characters, you also have a counter that's going to, let's say, give an advantage to the AI or the creatures that you're fighting, and that's going to be these unknown creatures here. Now, in most Cthulhu Death May Die scenarios, you're just going to have this module. This is going to be the chapter card that you're playing, and in it, you're going to have the creature, or the great one that you're fighting against. You're going to have the various different minions that you're going head-to-head against. You're going to have a deck of cards showing their stats, their health, what triggers some of their different actions, what type of dice they're rolling when they attack you, and then you're going to have your chapter card, which sets up the core structure of the scenario. Now we have something that can mix up any of these chapters, and I believe these modules are going to be backwards compatible, so you could actually make Season 1 and Season 2 a little bit more difficult if you found that some of them were maybe getting old or stale because you played through them a time too many. These unknown creatures here are going to be just that. These unknown monsters are modules that slot into the side of the board. Now, not only does it come with a helpful end-of-turn tracker, so you can make sure you're keeping an eye on what happens throughout the course of the game, but all of these different creatures are going to add new variabilities into the game. They're going to do it in a few different ways. First off, they're just going to be creatures that are on the board that could trigger, could move, could attack you if you end in their zone. They're obstacles and health points that you have to deal with. But on top of that, some of them also have environmental conditional abilities, like these fishers from outside are going to give you stress when you fight them, because they're flying above you and swooping down at you, and even if you decapitate one of them, you're still taking some punishment because of the fear. And, more and most importantly, they're also going to have other conditions that trigger based on when the Elder advances. So these are more powerful characters, but they're determined based off of when the Elder track, which advances based off of drawing 3 of these mythos symbols. When that moves forward and we get one step closer to this guy getting bigger and badder, these unknown monsters are going to spawn onto the board, or if they're already on the board, they're going to resolve their effect and begin moving, begin creeping their way in your direction. And for instance, the Gug there, the Gug is going to be this twisted abomination of a creature, and if he ends in a spot where you are, he's going to deal 1 damage or multiple damage, 1 wound, to every other figure in that space. Meaning if you're grouped together and trying to hold the creatures at bay, the Gug is going to move in and absolutely rip apart your players. 1 damage could be enough to just signal the end of the game, because that's a whole play cycle. You need to refresh and heal and try to get the 5 damage that you have on your board back up as high as possible. So that's what's new. That's what we're showcasing here. I am going to have another video that is a full gameplay with one of the chief or lead designers there at CMON, Travis Chance. We have a full 3-player gameplay where we show off a lot of new content. And also, I'm going to be going through every single card here in this prototype to let you see all the new information I have on hand. So if you're interested in that, make sure you swing over there and check one of those 2 videos. Now, if you've made it to the end of this video, you're probably convinced that you should be back in Cthulhu Death May Die. Let me go ahead and give you some frameworks as to why you might want to consider not backing it, just so you have that to think through. Well, first off, Cthulhu Death May Die is going to be a game that is highly benefited by playing through the chapters that it presents. Yes, you can play them as one-off modules, and it is a game that you can grab off the shelf to toss onto the table with a few friends who only come over not so often, but this game really does have a charm when you work your way through the different chapters, and when you start seeing the story continue to twist and unfold, and you fight different creatures, and things kind of come back again in a circle. It is a lot of fun. There is a little bit of min-maxing to it. You do have to make sure that you're paying attention to how the different characters trigger, and every scenario is going to be slightly different in movement rules, in condition rules, in game trigger rules, and so you will need someone that knows the game well that can help run the experience for the players. Along with that, this is a game that incorporates a lot of dice rolling. There is a degree of dice mitigation, but you can absolutely have moments where the dice just do not work in your favor, and it's sort of like a sorry, stick it to you type of experience. And like most dungeon crawls that I've found, if you're not someone who likes a anticlimactic ending, that can 100% happen here with Cthulhu Death May Die. There are moments where I have looked at the game and said, I understand we just lost, but I'm going to rework my turn so we can continue playing, because I'm having fun, and the point of the game is the fun, and in this is the story. But just like in Zombicide, another dungeon crawl style game coming from CMON, there are opportunities for the game to just kind of be unfair, or for you to die in a way that doesn't feel like it satisfies the story that you were immediately or initially telling. That can be true here as well. And then finally, one of the biggest reasons to consider whether or not you want this game or not is going to come down to what they're actually offering on the Kickstarter. If you can get access to all of the back catalog, that would be incredible. However, I don't know that that's going to happen with CMON and the way that they typically run their campaigns. So if you get this and you love this, there is a chance you'll be hunting on the secondary market for some of the other Kickstarter exclusive properties. You have the original campaign with some Kickstarter exclusive characters and miniatures and stuff like that. And then you also have the comic book extras. So if this is something you fall in love with, I do think the game is good enough to completely stand on its own. Just this box. But if you're like me and you're a all or nothing type of personality, you might end up spending a lot more money on the secondhand market trying to hunt the extra elements of this down. That being said, if you are thinking you're going down that road, backing now and getting whatever is going to be Kickstarter exclusive in this package is still probably the best way for you to start on that journey. So, that being said, this is Cthulhu Death May Die, Fear of the Unknown. I am insanely excited that I get a chance to play, cover, and share this game with you. Keep an eye out for that gameplay, and keep an eye out for that video where we're going to diagnose and break down every single card in the prototype that I have. Whatever the case, whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. See you next time. Thank you.